Coming to you from deep inside the bowels of a great big empty. Get ready for another episode of The Home Defense Show with Skip Coryell.
And that was Golden Glenn, the official announcer of the Home Defense Show, and I'm your host, Skip Coryell, author of 22 books, Marine Corps veteran, founder of the Second Amendment March, proud father of 7, grandfather to 19 and counting, and as a special bonus, I'm also madly in love with my own wife. My priorities in life are God, family, and country in that order, and I hereby promise to never compromise in my convictions. I may go broke, but I'll never go woke. And joining me today, as always, is my faithful co-host, Sarah Coryell. Sarah?
Yes?
What are you excited about today?
The grass is honestly growing. Like, spring has really come. The smells are great. My daughter keeps bringing in amazing flowers. They're huge and colorful, and it's fun. It's nice. I went outside without a coat to walk the dogs and was totally comfortable about it. It's really nice. Spring, we had a great winter, was very wintry, which makes spring all the more sweet.
Spring has sprung. It's time for new life.
Yeah. And the poison ivy hasn't become too much of a problem yet, so.
Well, you get excited about the grass. To me, that just means you got to mow the grass.
Well, I can see that.
I love the leaves coming back on the trees. And, our pear tree has blossomed out. That's always beautiful. And we have, 2 apple trees. Those are blossoming and leafing out. I haven't checked our peach tree yet. I need to check that.
Yeah, I haven't heard from the kids either.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know us very well, we are like sustainable.
Well, we hope. I don't know. We're trying.
Why? Don't scoff at me. We are sustainable. We have a lot of food on our little 20 acres here.
Oh. Yeah, I was
peaches, pears, apples,
what we bring in.
mulberries, grapes.
I can't make shoes and clothes though.
Oh,
I'll have to outsource that.
Well, I'll shoot a deer for you. I'll shoot a deer for you and give you the leather, okay?
Thank you. Raw bloody hide.
All right. Well, hey, and it is getting better and more springy by the day, so I'm excited about that.
Also, I am excited about the carp run that we're looking for every day in our little creek.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, most people don't get excited about carp.
Yeah.
It's like a 2-foot-long bottom-feeding fish.
Maybe great fresh cooked, but pressure cooked.
We
awesome.
pressure cooked it. I made mine with spice, and yeah, we canned it basically. But last year, we speared a lot of carp last year.
You did. You had a whole back of the truck full. It was amazing.
My relatives kind of look at that and like, wow, that's fun, and they view it as a normal thing. But if we were to talk to your parents or your brother about spearing carp and eating them.
They did teach me to fish originally, so.
Salmon, but not carp.
Yeah, I don't think we had carp.
They're much more sophisticated than we are. Just admit it. We're like the Beverly Hillbillies to them.
Sometimes I think that might be the impression I get, yes.
All right. Well, Sarah, what's on the Home Defense Show today?
Well, today we are talking to Stephen Willeford, the man who stopped the Sutherland Springs Church shooting back in 2017. Then, in the shootingclasses.com self-defense report, we'll be speaking with firearms instructor Rod Yoder about what happens when your disgruntled neighbor turns sniper in our shootingclasses.com self-defense report. That sounds like a horrible story behind that one.
Yeah, I'm so glad that our neighbors aren't snipers. At least not yet.
Not of us, anyways. Yeah,
Yes.
That sounds like a bad story happened there.
Well, here in this neighborhood, our neighbors are snipers, but they're shooting groundhogs, possum, raccoons, things like that.
Things we're also trying to keep to a low number around here.
But before we get too far into the show, let's thank our sponsors, United States Concealed Carry Association, shootingclasses.com, Center Shot Indoor Gun Range, and Apple Tree Media. All right, Sarah, what's in the news today?
Okay, well, Skip, I'm not sure if this counts as news precisely, but I got this on a Facebook post and wanted to share it. I, as a father, wanted to share this with my daughters and with anyone who drives. An unmarked police car pulled up behind her and put his lights on. Lauren's parents have always told her to never pull over for an unmarked car on the side of the road, but rather to wait until they get to a gas station, etc. Lauren had actually listened to her parents' advice and promptly called 112 on her cell phone to tell the police dispatcher that she would not pull over right away. She proceeded to tell the dispatcher that there was an unmarked police car with flashing red lights on his rooftop behind her. The dispatcher checked to see if there were police cars where she was, and there weren't any. And he told her to keep driving, remain calm, and that he had backup already on the way. 10 minutes later, 4 cop cars surrounded her and the unmarked car behind her. One policeman went to her side, and the others surrounded the car behind. They pulled the guy from the car and tackled him to the ground. The man was a convicted rapist and wanted for other crimes. I never knew about the 112 cell phone feature. I tried it on my AT&T phone, and it said, dialing emergency number. Especially for a woman alone in a car, you should not pull over for an unmarked car. Apparently, police have to respect your right to keep going on to a safe place. Speaking to a service representative at Bell Mobility, confirmed that 112 was a direct link to state trooper info. So now it's your turn to let your friends know about dialing 112. You may want to send this to every man, woman, and youngster you know. It may well save a life. So here's the thing. Is it true or is it false?
Well, Sarah, when you sent that to me, I thought, wow, that's pretty good thing for on the show. But then I thought, we'd better make sure it's actually true,
right,
before we just pass it on to everybody, right? So I did a bunch of research on the internet, just finding out, okay, is this true or is it false? And it's pretty much false. Dialing 112, that's what you do in Europe. You know, in America, South America and North America, dialing 911 will get you emergency services. Now, apparently, there's some confusion about whether or not 112 works in America, but most of the experts agree that if you have a problem like this, just dial 911. That's your best, your fastest, your surest way of getting to emergency services. And just let them know there's a car following me. It's got flashing red or blue lights or whatever. But it's in a regular car, so I don't know if it's a real cop or not. Can you help me? Mm-hmm. Because if it's a real cop, the cop is talking to the dispatcher too.
Right.
All right. And so, you know, the cop and you are talking to the same person, to the dispatcher, so the dispatcher can clear it all up. Now, if you call 911 and explain the situation, and the dispatcher says, we don't have a car in that area. So, you know, then they'll dispatch a real cop to you and help you out. Because this is it's a real concern, because there are, you know, verified cases where rapists, kidnappers, serial killers have posed as police to pull women over and then kill them, rape them, abduct them, whatever. So
it's pretty scary that can happen.
That is.
And I grew up in Oregon. I went to school in Washington. We had unmarked police cars. That was something we were expected to respond to. Were unmarked cars.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really know how you get around that, because.
Well, I've even seen a few here in Michigan, and technically they're not unmarked. It's just that they're not real obvious.
I think these were. Like, I never saw the markings.
Yeah.
You knew by the lights.
Trust your gut instincts when all else fails. Trust your gut. Okay? You're not going to be thrown in prison for not pulling over right away. But if you just keep going and do nothing, and it is a cop, you're going to get in trouble. So dial 911, not 112, dial 911 right away. Tell them what's going on and ask them for instructions.
Maybe the story came out of Europe. Maybe it happened in Europe. You know?
Well, that's possible,
it's
but I went on the internet and I couldn't find any verification that this particular event actually happened.
Oh.
So, but I know that other events like this have happened. Yeah. So it's a real concern. Yeah. All right, but hey, now for something positive. Okay. Who is our home defense show hero of the week, Sarah?
For our home defense show hero of the week, we have a Christian woman who stopped a robbery with faith. Held at gunpoint, a store clerk invoked her faith to turn the desperate thief into a repentant gunman. When a man tried to rob a Metro PCS cell phone store at gunpoint in Pompano Beach, Florida, store manager Nayara Goncalves, 20, calmly talked to the man about Jesus and her faith until he left without taking any money. Goncalves said she doesn't know why she began to talk to him about Jesus. I believe it was the Holy Spirit of God that really made me want to tell him about Jesus, Goncalves told abcnews.com. I would never be able to do that myself. I would never think that God could use me the way that he did, she said. God impressed me. A store surveillance camera captured the whole exchange between Goncalves and the would-be robber. The man entered the store and made small talk about the rainy weather. He asked to see a phone and then showed Goncalves a gun and nervously asked for the money in the register. I really hate to do this, the gunman told Goncalves. She slowly walked toward the register and started to speak to the man, who told her not to be afraid. I am not, she said. I'm just going to talk to you about the Jesus I have. May God bless you for that, the robber said in return. Just know in mind that I absolutely hate doing this. I'm embarrassed I have to do this, and I have no choice. Goncalves continued to talk to the man about God, and it started to work. Already nervous and reluctant, the man slumped onto the counter and looked more and more defeated.
I've heard about situations like this, like in robberies or in abducting females or raping a female, where the victim has actually talked the person out of it. You have to be careful of that, primarily because it doesn't work all the time. But in this particular case, is when I was reading that, as soon as I came to the place where it said he was nervous,
Yeah.
okay, that told me that, oh, okay, that's like blood in a shark tank. It's like weakness, right? He displayed weakness, even though he was the one with the gun. And then he said, what did he say after that about not being afraid? Something like that.
Yeah, he tells her not to be afraid.
Yeah,
And
that's not a hardened criminal.
I mean, he says he's embarrassed to do it and he has no choice.
Yeah,
This might have even been his first thing, his first time doing
it
something
could
like that.
be. 10% of the criminals do 90% of the crime. Okay, and so I think what happened is
Sounds like
this lady, this was this man's first crime. Okay, his first robbery, and he wasn't a hardened criminal. He didn't really even want to do it, but that's rare. Most of the time, you're running across a hardened criminal who will either shoot you or beat you or just take the money. But the thing is, she trusted her gut instincts. Her gut instincts told her this guy really doesn't want to do what he's doing. And it was more than gut instinct. He told her that, right?
She was
So
looking.
she just went with that
Mhm.
and started talking about Jesus because the guy obviously he had a conscience because he was embarrassed and he felt bad about doing what he was doing. So she did exactly the right thing in the right way.
It's beautiful, really. I mean, she turned him. I mean, maybe he'll never become a robber.
Well, that's possible. I guess I would just add a caveat there. If you get that gut instinct, oh, the guy really doesn't want to do it, he's displaying weakness or hesitation about what he's doing, yeah, go ahead and do what this woman did. But if he turns bad
Well,
during that conversation, yeah, give him the money because it's not worth it. Okay. But in this case, yeah, all's well that ends well. And
worked beautiful for them.
yeah, hard to argue with success here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this woman did a fantastic job.
Being brave, Nayara.
And what was her name again?
Nayara Goncalves.
Nayara.
Isn't that great? Nayara Goncalves.
Nayara.
Goncalves.
Say that 3 times
It's
fast.
beautiful. She's
All right.
old. Wisdom
All right.
and
Good job,
you know,
Nayara.
Nayara. It's beautiful. I like it.
All right, Sarah, what's coming up on the show next?
Next, we're talking to Stephen Willeford, the man who stopped the Sutherland Springs Church shooting back in 2017. Then, in the shootingclasses.com self-defense report, we'll be speaking with firearms instructor Rod Yoder about what happens when your disgruntled neighbor turns sniper in our shootingclasses.com self-defense report.
Yeah, you guys are going to love Stephen Willeford. This is, I think, my second or third time that I've interviewed him. He's from Texas, Sutherland Springs Baptist Church shooting. You guys remember that? That was a big deal. 26 men, women, and children killed, 22 wounded. And this guy was a plumber, and he came down and he took out the trash. So Stephen did a great job. He tells us the story, and he's coming to Southwest Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
So for all my listeners here in Michigan, this is a good opportunity. You can go to centershotgunrange.com to find out when, where, and all the details. All right. Fantastic. Folks, we're going to be back, but in the meantime, God bless and stay safe.
Firearms training should be easy. Instructors can focus on teaching and not worry about all the complex paperwork and management behind the scenes. Just pull the trigger and let us do the administrative work. Welcome to shootingclasses.com.
At Centershot Gun Range, we are passionate about training. Don't know where to start? We offer a 1-hour new shooter seminar to introduce you to the world of firearms and help you find training opportunities specific to you. Concealed carry, home defense, firearm safety, AR-15, private one-on-one training, custom training, or maybe you're on a security team looking to protect your church or business. We even offer weekday morning and evening classes. Centershot Gun Range has you covered. Start your journey at centershotgunrange.com.
Firearms training should be easy. Instructors can focus on teaching and not worry about all the complex paperwork and management behind the scenes. Just pull the trigger and let us do the administrative work. Welcome to shootingclasses.com.
Attention business owners. Are you leaving your website open to security issues and hacking due to a lack of maintenance or overseas outsourcing? Don't let that happen to your business. Choose experienced U.S.-based website developers that can customize your website to fit your specific needs. Appletree MediaWorks has been growing businesses online since 2009. With over 80 years of combined experience, their team conducts constant research and development to keep up with ever-changing online threats. Your website deserves the best protection available. Call Appletree MediaWorks today at 877-977-1364 to keep your website secure and grow your business online. Or visit appletree.media.
Avoid danger, save lives, and keep your loved ones safe. If this sounds good to you, you sound good to me, and I'd like to help you do those things. Avoid danger, save lives, and keep your loved ones safe. If you're looking for more excitement in your life, we have nothing to offer you. But if you are a thoughtful, responsible, nonviolent man or woman, we'd love to teach you what to do if something crazy happens. More importantly, we'd like to teach you what not to do. We currently have over 500,000 members. They are doctors and single moms and firemen and grandmothers and veterans and Democrats and Republicans and members of every faith. But the one thing they all have in common is that they know exactly what to do if something crazy happens. When you're with one of our members, you are safe. Our members know how to de-escalate situations. They know how to calm things down. We are the United States Concealed Carry Association. See what we're all about at usconcealedcarry.com.
Discover the little-known backstory of the U.S. Concealed Carry Association at usconcealedcarry.com.
They say he eats crayons and his knuckles drag on the ground, but that's only half true. Welcome back to the Home Defense Show with Skip Coriel.
And that was the beautiful and sultry voice of Golden Glenn, the official announcer of the Home Defense Show. Folks, we live in a dangerous world, and I want you to be able to protect and defend the ones you love. And that's why I have this show. It's my way of empowering you to accomplish one of your primary jobs in life. You are a protector and a defender. All right, listeners, before we get too far into the show, don't forget to check out our sponsors, United States Concealed Carry Association, shootingclasses.com, Centershot Indoor Gun Range, and Appletree Media. Without our sponsors, this show wouldn't be on the air, so we thank you all. And now I'd like to welcome a special guest to the show. He's Stephen Willeford from Sutherland Springs, Texas. Stephen, welcome to the Home Defense Show.
Man, it's great to be on your show.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, we've spoken before, you know, several times on the phone and once more in an interview. But Stephen, I I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. You are going to be here in Southwest Michigan on May 6th from 6 to 8:15 p.m. at St. Mary's Visitation Catholic Church to give a special talk to the people of Michigan. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Actually, I'm going to be doing a tour all across Michigan, and Michigan's a beautiful state. We have some friends up there, and looking forward to it. And this will be, I guess, my second time in Michigan, and great people up there, great, beautiful area. A little too cold for this South Texas boy, though.
Well, I can certainly understand that. I interview people all over the country, and one of the things we talk about is the weather because, like people in Georgia, Florida, I'll talk to them in like February and, they'll make fun of us. But then when I call them in August, it's like they can't believe it's only 85 degrees here in Michigan. So I guess that the weather is a sword that cuts both ways, isn't it?
It absolutely is because when we hit 111 and stuff like that, then it's y'all's turn to make fun of us. But I do ride a motorcycle around Wilson County delivering toys dressed as Santa Claus every Christmas, right around Christmas time. And I don't think y'all get much of an opportunity to do that.
Well, you could do that here in Michigan in December, but probably just one time. All right. Well, Stephen, um, a lot of people know your story, but a lot of people don't. So, I did something interesting this morning when I was doing my show prep. I went on a artificial intelligence website, ChatGPT, this morning, and I said, tell me who is Stephen Willeford from Sutherland Springs. And I'm going to read to you what the internet, this is the combined intelligence of everything on the internet, a summary of who Stephen Willeford is. I'll just read two paragraphs here, and you can tell me whether or not, artificial intelligence is absolutely correct or what. So here we go. Stephen Willeford is a notable figure known for his heroic actions during the mass shooting at the First Baptist Church in Sutherland Springs, Texas, on November 5th, 2017. When the shooter opened fire in the church, Willeford, an armed local resident, heard the gunfire and quickly retrieved his firearm. He engaged the shooter, which played a crucial role in preventing further casualties and in the eventual apprehension of the assailant. Willeford's actions were widely praised, and he became a symbol of civilian intervention in mass shooting incidents. Following the event, he has participated in discussions about gun rights and public safety, emphasizing the importance of the Second Amendment and self-defense. All right, that's what the internet thinks of Stephen Willeford. But my question to you is, there must be an untold story. Who do you think you are, Stephen? How would you describe yourself?
I'm just a common redneck.
Okay.
There's some people in this world that think a redneck is a bad term. I have embraced it. I am a redneck, and it's not a derogatory term for me because when you really need somebody, a redneck is who you want. And I'm just a country boy. I grew up on a dairy. I was fourth generation on the same property. I'm fourth generation on the same property. I am the most blessed man you will ever meet because all three of my children and all three of their spouses now built homes on my property that I'm fourth generation on, and all eight and soon to be nine of my grandbabies will be living on our property.
Wow.
That's
That sounds great.
the American dream. Uh, some people, equate success and wealth. I think if they're worried about the wealth, how much money they have acquired, I think their focus is wrong because I think I'm more blessed than just about anybody.
Yeah. That reminds me of something from the Bible. There's a passage in the Bible that talks about children being arrows in a man's quiver, and blessed is the man who has many arrows in his quiver. So God has blessed you, Stephen.
He has only had 3 children, but now I've got 9 grandchildren.
Yeah, yeah, I can relate to that because I have 7 kids and I have 19 grandchildren so far. But I'm not as blessed as you simply because out of 19 grandchildren, only one of them lives in the state of Michigan. The rest are in Missouri and Wisconsin and Indiana. So I have to travel all over to see my grandkids. So, man, God really blessed you to have everyone there on the property with you.
Absolutely. They have trails from their homes that lead to mine, and the oldest one is 6, and she now comes across the field every morning barefoot. We homeschool them, and so she comes across the field generally barefoot, which is hilarious. And she knocks on the door, and about 7 o'clock, she's an early bird, so she knocks on the door at 7 o'clock in the morning. I start cooking breakfast for her. My wife works from home, so she has an office in our house, and my granddaughter, Alice, goes into her room and pulls out her books and sits at her own desk at my wife's office and starts doing her homeschool work while I
Wow.
fix her and my wife breakfast.
That sounds great. We do the same thing here. My wife, she's originally an electrical engineer, but she quit her engineering job about 15 years ago so that she could homeschool our 3 kids that we have here at home. So I'm a staunch advocate of homeschooling as well.
Well, I think the public education system is broke, and we focus our homeschooling on God and His blessings and His will for us. And part of the curriculum is reading Bible and stuff like that.
Yeah, we do the same thing. Now, 2017, that was 8 years ago, almost 8 years ago. How has your life changed since that shooting event at Sutherland Springs Baptist Church?
Well, I have come a long ways. I was a plumber by trade, and I retired from 34 years of plumbing construction and started drawing that retirement and went to work for a major metropolitan hospital in San Antonio, Texas, because I had med gas certifications and stuff, and the hospital hired me so they could do med gas repairs and stuff in-house in the hospital, and I thought that was going to be my career until I retired, and then Sutherland Springs happened, and everybody told me that it was going to change my life, and I didn't want my life to be changed. I fought it, and I prayed for a very long time because my 2 worlds were colliding, and turned out that God had a different plan for me. And now I train with churches, teaching them to be more prepared for active shooter response. I fly all over this country. I speak for Gun Owners of America, and I fight for our rights. I was just yesterday, I got back at almost 10 o'clock last night from testifying at the Texas State Capitol and fighting for our rights at Texas State Capitol. And I do it at other capitals, other state capitals all across the country also.
So you became a Second Amendment activist all over the country.
Absolutely. Gun Owners of America sends me all around the country.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a no nonsense organization, and I've always enjoyed them and followed them and been a member. So I'm glad you're doing all that, Stephen. You described yourself as a redneck, and I've always described myself the same way. from the north, from Michigan, but just a rural guy who grew up milking a cow, milking a goat, slopping the pigs, going to a country school. Um, but you're right when you say that's the kind of person, when the crap hits the fan, you don't want someone who doesn't know which end of the barrel the round comes out of to try and help you because they don't know what to do. You knew what to do on November 5th, 2017. Can you give us a synopsis of what exactly happened that morning?
Well, a guy came in to Sutherland Springs, and again, Sutherland Springs total population is under 600 people. And being fourth generation, I know almost all of those 600 people. And he came in and started shooting through the walls and windows of a 100-year-old church. And for those familiar with those little bitty small communities, the church is the heart and soul of the little small community. And he started shooting through the walls and windows, and at first they thought it was fireworks outside until the glass started shattering, until people started dropping, and then they thought it was a drive-by and he would be gone. But in fact, he was on his feet at that point with his vehicle stopped in the middle of the street, and he walked all the way around three sides of the church, shooting through the windows and walls at first, and then through the doors. And he entered into the doors, and he started going from pew to pew, murdering people. I was at home because I was going to start a on call at the hospital. Starting Monday morning, and I knew I was going to get 20 to 30 extra hours of work, and so I needed to rest up for that on call. And so normally I would have been at my own church, which was about 35 miles up the road. But since I was going to start an on call, I chose to stay home that day and rest up. And my daughter came into the bedroom and said, "Dad, doesn't that sound like gunfire?" And at first I thought it sounded like someone tapping at the window. Your mind tries to make something normal out of something that's very abnormal. When I realized it was gunfire, I went to my safe. I grabbed out an AR-15 that I had built for competition. I used to shoot on a firearms team. It was a church team. We called ourselves the Sinners. And I built that AR-15 to compete with. So when the safe door opened, if you have a choice of a pistol or a rifle, always choose a rifle. And I grabbed out the rifle that I had built myself and ran across the street poking rounds in it. Before I got out the door, I just grabbed a handful of ammunition. Turned out I had 8 rounds, I didn't know, and loaded them in a magazine and ran across the street barefoot. And I truly believe the Lord had me, the Holy Spirit was over me, and I yelled out as I ran across the street. I can't figure out why I would have done something like that. But inside the church, he had just shot Julie Workman. They were all hiding under the pews. And he just shot Julie Workman through the breast. And then he bounced one off the concrete into her leg. And then he turned to the pew in front of her and shot Julie Workman's son, Chris Workman, in the back, instantly paralyzing Chris. And what he would do is he would shoot them with his rifle. And then when they were laying there under the pew, he would pull his pistol and at point blank range finish him with a pistol. And Chris said he was looking down the barrel of his pistol, and he said, "I knew I was going to meet Jesus at that moment." And he said, "I heard you yell." And when you yelled, he said, his expression immediately changed. And he dropped his rifle in the church and came out through the doors, shooting at me with his pistol. Now, I can't explain why he would drop his rifle. except that I truly believe that when God calls out a demon, the demon has to comply immediately. And he came out, he had on class 3 body armor, a ballistic bulletproof helmet, and he started shooting at me. His vehicle was parked in the middle of the street with the driver's side door open and the engine running. And I ran behind a Dodge pickup truck, and he hit the truck in front of me, shattered the windshield of the car behind me, and he hit the house behind me. I was able to hit him in the left chest. I was able to hit him in the abdomen. Both of them stopped by the body armor. And then he turned to get into his vehicle. He ran for his vehicle. He wanted out. And when he turned to get in, I put one between his plates, high in his chest. I put one high in his legs. He got in the vehicle. He put 2 more shots through the side window. And I busted one across his forehead right underneath the rim of the helmet. He accelerated, he turned the corner and fled as fast as that vehicle could take him. And by the time I got in the middle of the street, he was 150 yards away and fleeing. I put one through the back windshield. The police say that one went through the windshield and through the driver's side seat and hit him right at the left shoulder blade, and he topped the hill and out of sight. And I'm thinking to myself, it can't end this way. And I looked off to the left, and there was a pickup truck with a young man parked at the stop sign, and he had apparently witnessed the whole exchange. And he was on the phone with 911, and I ran over and I tapped on the window and I said, that guy just shot up the Baptist church and we need to stop him. And the next thing I heard were the doors unlock, and I climbed up in the cab of the truck with him. And we chased the murderer for 11.6 miles. And in the end, he took his own life, is what the police said. He tucked the pistol underneath the helmet and pulled the trigger, and I'm okay with that.
The guy that was driving the truck, what was his name again?
Johnny Langendorf. And I had never met Johnny before in my life. I truly believe that God used Johnny in a very, very powerful way. And so Johnny, any sane person would have just, when I tapped on the window, would have just drove on and left me at the stop sign. But
Yeah.
John doors and let me in. This is Texas we're talking about. We're not necessarily known for sanity.
Right. So, are you still in touch with Johnny?
I talk to him every now and then. He doesn't live in this area, so every now and then I get a chance to talk to Johnny and see how he's doing. But no, we don't stay readily in touch necessarily. In fact, after this conversation, I may need to call him and see how he's doing.
Yeah, I think that. Well, I was on the internet and I saw a picture of him, picture of you. He's seems like he's a tall guy, and he had big tattoos on his neck and throat. Am I thinking of the right guy?
Yes, he's got a longhorn skull tattooed in the middle of his neck, and the horns run up underneath his ears. He's a cartoon of Texas, if you will. He always wears a Western hat with a feather sticking out of it. Typically, he's got a toothpick in his mouth when he's talking. He's just, God gave me a gift even in Johnny, and I had never met Johnny before in my life. He was coming to visit his girlfriend that lived in Sutherland Springs.
Wow. That's an awesome story. Do you have any regrets over anything that you did that morning?
I would tell you, I regret having the gun locked in a safe, and I regret not having a loaded magazine.
Hmm.
several years before this happened, I was burglarized and I had one gun outside the safe. And the burglar got the gun that I had outside the safe, didn't get any of the guns that were in the safe. And it made a habit for me to unload all my guns and put them away in the safe. I thought I was, because I feared for months before they caught the burglar, I feared him being in my home and me returning from work or something, and he was in my home again and he would have my gun at that point. So I feared that, and I made a habit of unloading everything and putting away in the safe. And when I was called to testify before the Senate by Ted Cruz, they were fighting the Safe Storage Act, which is a law that doesn't need to be a law. You need to know your own situation and whether you should have an accessible gun or not. You shouldn't be mandated by law. I timed myself before I spoke to the Senate, and the fastest time dialing the numbers into my safe, retrieving a gun, and loading it, it took 91 seconds. And that's a minute and a half. And I call that the 91 seconds that I will regret for the rest of my life, because during that 91 seconds, I could hear the gunfire. And I knew that people were dying, and I was trying to get my gun into action. And if I could change anything about that day, it would have been that I was more prepared, that I had a gun at the ready. And, you know, I suggest that everybody make sure that your gun is inaccessible to children, and maybe make it where it's more inaccessible to somebody coming into your home. But you know your own situation and how best to be able to get to a firearm. And I don't think that should be government mandating any of that, because had I been able to get to my gun quicker, I may have been able to save more lives. I hate to think about that 91 seconds, that minute and a half, and who I might have been able to save had I been more prepared.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Stephen, we're almost out of time here, but you said you're visiting other places in Michigan as well, not just Grand Rapids, but also some other places. What are some of the other places you're going to be in Michigan?
You know, I fly in and Right to Bear. This is a Right to Bear tour. They will pick me up and they will take me. I think we have 5 other stops, but I'm not even sure. I'm just along for the ride. You know, each time it's going to be at a different church, and other churches are welcome to come to it. You might look on Right to Bear and find out where their training session is in Michigan, and find me somewhere along the way. And then afterwards, we actually have a friend that owns it was rated the #1 RV resort in the nation last year. So afterwards, I'm going to go stay at his RV resort for about a week in Michigan after I'm through with my tour of Michigan. So,
Well, you picked a good time. May in Michigan, it's about as good as it gets as far as weather goes. It'll probably be in the low 70s, so we'll give you a break from the Texas heat. But yeah, everything's blooming out. The trees are blossoming and leaves are coming out. It's a great time for you to come. You couldn't have timed it any better, Stephen.
last time we visited our friends up there, we went up to the Upper Peninsula and went to Mackinac Island, and that was really cool. Like I say, I really like Michigan. I wouldn't want to live there because the cold weather is, me and cold weather just don't get along. But I'm looking forward to spending some time with some good friends at a RV resort up there in Michigan, and looking forward to meeting all of you guys at these events that I'm doing. People ask me what's the best and what's the worst of what's happened since November 5th. And I always tell them the best part of it is all the neat people that I meet. The worst part of it is all the airline flights. I hate flying. I hate airlines. But again, I get blessed with meeting so many good people like yourself. That's a great part of my job now.
All right. Well, that sounds fantastic, Stephen. I am really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person, to shake your hand and just jaw jack a little bit. So that will be great. The event again is you can go to centershotgunrange.com, centershotgunrange.com. All the details are there. St. Mary's Visitation Catholic Church on May 6th. At 6 p.m. It's a free event, so there's no reason not to go, and I know you'll be blessed by it. But Stephen, thank you. Is there a website where people can go? Do you have a personal website where people can go to learn more about you?
TheBarefootDefender.com. You can also go to gunowners.org, and you can find a book. If you'd like to buy my book, I'd really appreciate that. Buy my book and bring it by the events. It's a town called Sutherland Springs. It's at Amazon. You can buy the book and bring it to the event, and I'll sign it for you.
That sounds great. I will do that as well, and I look forward to meeting you. Stephen, thank you very much for being on the Home Defense Show today.
God bless.
All right, this is Skip Coryell on the Home Defense Show. Coming up next, we'll have the shootingclasses.com self-defense report, where we get some expert advice on the details of self-defense. But during the break, I want you to log into rumble.com and search on the Home Defense Show. I posted a series of entertaining and educational videos there just for you. Check them out, and don't forget to like, share, and follow. God bless and stay safe, as we will be right back.
Firearms training should be easy. Instructors can focus on teaching and not worry about all the complex paperwork and management behind the scenes. Just pull the trigger and let us do the administrative work. Welcome to shootingclasses.com.
At Centershot Gun Range, we are passionate about training. Don't know where to start? We offer a 1-hour new shooter seminar to introduce you to the world of firearms and help you find training opportunities specific to you. Concealed carry, home defense, firearm safety, AR-15, private one-on-one training, custom training, or maybe you're on a security team looking to protect your church or business. We even offer weekday morning and evening classes. Centershot Gun Range has you covered. Start your journey at centershotgunrange.com.
Firearms training should be easy. Instructors can focus on teaching and not worry about all the complex paperwork and management behind the scenes. Just pull the trigger and let us do the administrative work. Welcome to shootingclasses.com.
Attention business owners. Are you leaving your website open to security issues and hacking due to a lack of maintenance or overseas outsourcing? Don't let that happen to your business. Choose experienced U.S.-based website developers that can customize your website to fit your specific needs. Appletree MediaWorks has been growing businesses online since 2009. With over 80 years of combined experience, their team conducts constant research and development to keep up with ever-changing online threats. Your website deserves the best protection available. Call Appletree MediaWorks today at 877-977-1364 to keep your website secure and grow your business online. Or visit appletree.media.
Avoid danger, save lives, and keep your loved ones safe. If this sounds good to you, you sound good to me. And I'd like to help you do those things. Avoid danger, save lives, and keep your loved ones safe. If you're looking for more excitement in your life, we have nothing to offer you. But if you are a thoughtful, responsible, nonviolent man or woman, we'd love to teach you what to do if something crazy happens. More importantly, we'd like to teach you what not to do. We currently have over 500,000 members. They are doctors and single moms and firemen and grandmothers and veterans and Democrats and Republicans and members of every faith. But the one thing they all have in common is that they know exactly what to do if something crazy happens. When you're with one of our members, you are safe. Our members know how to de-escalate situations. They know how to calm things down. We are the United States Concealed Carry Association. See what we're all about at usconcealedcarry.com.
Discover the little-known backstory of the U.S. Concealed Carry Association at usconcealedcarry.com.
Some say his face is painfully ugly, and I agree. But who cares? This is radio. Welcome back to the Home Defense Show with Skip Coryell.
And that was the beautiful and sultry voice of Golden Glenn, the official announcer of the Home Defense Show. And I'm your host, Skip Coryell. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, United States Concealed Carry Association, shootingclasses.com, Apple Tree Media, and Center Shot Indoor Gun Range for all your training and equipment needs. And now it's time for our weekly self-defense report, sponsored by shootingclasses.com. And today we're speaking with self-defense instructor Rod Yoder from the great state of Ohio. Rod, thanks for coming back on the show today.
Thank you for having me, Skip.
No problem whatsoever. It's always a pleasure to speak with a Buckeye. Shall I call you a Buckeye or Ohioan? What do you prefer?
Buckeye's just fine with me.
Okay. That tells me a little bit about your football preference there. That's okay. I don't even follow football, so no skin off my butt here. All right, we got an interesting article here, Rod, from Minneapolis. It says, police arrest man charged with threatening and shooting neighbor in the neck after a standoff. This one was really, this was a nasty one, but let's go ahead and dig right into it. It says, a white Minneapolis man accused of shooting and critically injuring his black neighbor was arrested early Monday following a SWAT standoff after the police department faced backlash for failing to address his escalating threats, which turned violent. John Herbert Sawchek, age 54, was arrested in connection with the shooting of his neighbor, Davis Mochuri, age 34, in the neck on Wednesday. Police admitted they had failed Mochuri by failing to prevent Sawchek's ongoing harassment after a number of complaints. Sawchek surrendered outside his home around 1:30 a.m. Eastern Time after a 5-hour standoff in which a negotiator used a loudspeaker to urge him to leave his residence, and police threatened to use tear gas. Quote, ultimately, the individual was safely emerged from the house prior to us needing to insert gas into the house, Police Chief Brian O'Hara said at a news conference. That was our next step we prepared to do. We told the individual we were about to do it, and immediately prior to that, at about 1:24 a.m., he emerged from the rear of the residence and surrendered. O'Hara said his team very methodically and systematically gave the suspect announcements and updates about what was happening. Sawchek was charged last week in connection with the shooting, during which he opened fire on Mochuri from an upstairs window as he was pruning a tree, according to court documents. Mochuri was hospitalized with a fractured spine, 2 broken ribs, and a concussion. Mochuri had contacted police multiple times about what he said was Sawchek's escalating harassment, but police had failed to arrest him, saying that he has mental illness and possesses firearms and that executing a warrant was considered high risk. Early Monday, O'Hara admitted, yes, we failed this victim. He should not have been shot. He said that there had been dozens of attempts to make contact with Sawchek and that surveillance was undertaken before to the shooting, but with no success since April. But I will say this, he said, we had no reason to suspect that he would shoot the neighbor from inside the house. All right, this goes on and on and on and on. Minneapolis police officers waited for days for the individual to emerge from the house, and he never did, O'Hara said. But officers were able to confirm he was inside and spoke with his family multiple times to gather information about his mental health history. Man, there's a lot here. It's a long article, but a lot of it is repetitive. So, Rod, why don't you tell me what your initial thoughts and feelings are about this?
Well, it sounds like it was just a pure ambush. He was out, pruning the bushes, and the guy shot him from the window. upstairs window. It sounded like he really had no prior warning that this was coming. Although the article said there was a lot of precursor to this event, I believe that there was a lot of complaints to the police prior to this, that this guy was, harassing him and possibly the neighbors as well. But it was just like a pure ambush. This is why we carry a firearm. Not that we're going to maybe solve an ambush situation, but we know the police aren't going to be there in our time of need. And this was the case here. It sounds like, yeah, the police did fail this guy in a big way.
Yeah, that was kind of my opinion too. It rather upset me. Did you get a chance to watch the video of the actual shooting on this?
I did, yes.
He was a sniper at that point. He was up in his stand at an elevated position and shot that guy, and he went down fast. He went down hard while he was using his chainsaw to prune a tree. It's like he didn't know what had hit him. And I don't know. I'm not in general. I don't want to indict the entire Minneapolis police force here, but I'm not impressed with Minneapolis Police Department. After all of the George Floyd stuff and how they tried to defund their police and all of that, they must be stretched pretty thin for them to go that long without any, giving the guy, good police service. He just didn't get good police service. And, he said in this article, they knew the man had firearms, so they were afraid to go there and escalate a situation and go into something dangerous. My opinion on that is that's a cop's job. It's supposed to be a dangerous job because you're going up against criminals who are, by definition, dangerous. Do you feel better about that than me, or is it just me?
No, it said, I believe it was 4 or 5 days after the incident happened that they finally, arrested the guy. So, and the public, I think, came to this guy's defense. Hey, what are you doing, police department? It's been 4 or 5 days since this has happened, and this guy's still, free.
He was in his own house for 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
I'm amazed.
And they admitted, that the police chief admitted we failed this guy. Well, yeah, you did, but I agree with you. This is their job. They needed to go and get this guy right away. Who else can fire a rifle from a window at a neighbor? Probably he was going for a headshot, my guess, and probably missed him and hit his neck. But shooting a guy from a window, as you say, from basically a sniper position, and then let the guy linger in his house for 4 or 5 days. I don't get that. I guess I don't get that mentality.
Yeah. I don't understand that either. I mean, what would have happened if he hadn't stopped there? He could have shot any number of people from that elevated position or just gone berserk again and again and again. I do not understand this at all. But my question here, Rod, is, all right, the chief of police saying, okay, yeah, we failed, but someone should be held accountable for this in my mind, or why would it change?
Yeah, and like you mentioned before, they've had a history here with everything that's happened since 2020. Defund the police and all these kind of things, and it seemed like they were just very, very hesitant to get the police force into another use of force incident that might go bad.
Yeah.
They already have a couple police officers in prison over some of this before, right or wrong. And I just think they were very, very reluctant to do this again.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things, I agree with you. I'm seeing that all over the country where police officers will hold back when they shouldn't be holding back because they're afraid of being sued. They're afraid of losing their job. They're afraid of going to prison,
Yes.
for shooting bad guys. And that's sad in itself, but that's a sign of our times. That's the way it's become over the last 7-8 years. And boy, that's good for criminals and bad for the citizenry when the police fail us like this. I understand why. I just don't like it.
Yeah, and this guy had a history of mental illness, that went on for decades and made threats to neighbors. And it wasn't just this guy he was threatening. He was threatening other neighbors as well. And so he was well known to the police.
Yeah, yeah. And in the very first line of this article, a white Minneapolis man accused of shooting and critically injuring his black neighbor was arrested. I do not like the media. I really don't. I think they cause more division in our country than any other institution. And I'm speaking of racial division.
Yeah.
It really shouldn't matter who was what color. I mean, if you're going to be, non-racist, you should be colorblind. It should be a Minneapolis man accused of shooting and critically injuring his neighbor was arrested early Monday. It doesn't matter what color he is, unless he shot him because he was that color. Maybe that's true, maybe that's not, but there's no indication here that that's why he shot him. But either way, attempted murder is attempted murder, no matter what color you are. And I hate the division, because the two races, we need to come together, not be totally, driven apart day after day by the media and far left politicians. But that's just, I'm on my soapbox now, so I apologize, Rod. What other thoughts do you have about this?
Yeah, I don't think really race had a big role in this either. I don't think that played a part at all. Not that it couldn't have, but it doesn't matter. Like you say, it doesn't matter really who was black or who was white. Because even the one article that said that he had harassed other neighbors that were white people before, so I don't think that really came into play.
Yeah, it seems like it had more to do with mental illness than it did anything about race at all.
Yeah, but again, we need to be our own protectors. We cannot rely on the police to come and rescue us. Again, that's why we carry firearms.
Yeah, talk about the neighbor from hell, huh? I mean, really, in retrospect, there's not a whole lot this guy could have done, except, like walk on eggshells every day and try to avoid the guy, try not to make him angry. But, I've had mentally ill people in my life before, and it's like you never really know what's going to set them off because they're just not right. They're broken inside, and you never know what you're going to say or do that's going to set them off and make them freak out on you.
Yeah, he should go back to the realtor that sold him the house and ask some questions about that.
Yes, I want my money back.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Well, hey, you just got to be careful who you let into your life. When it comes to a neighbor, it's like he had two choices: stay and take his chances, or sell his house and move. I guess the only good news here is that there's a mentally ill, would-be murderer behind bars, and his neighbor wasn't killed. He was shot in the neck, but he'll survive. So we just hope and pray that he heals up, and that I don't know, he'll probably move to a different neighborhood, I would think.
Yeah, I think that's right.
A lot of times when people have something traumatic like that happen to them, like inside their home, they just move because of the PTSD of all of it. Can you imagine going out to mow your lawn after that without getting a nervous twitch?
Yeah, his life has definitely changed forever in that respect.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. Well, Rod, tell the listeners how they can get a hold of you, how they can, attend your services, What's your business like?
You can find us on shootingclasses.com/McFadden Firearms. We do Ohio concealed carry. We do defensive pistol. We also work with church teams and also school teams. So we're here in East Ohio, and again, shootingclasses.com/McFadden Firearms.
Awesome. All right. Well, Rod, thank you very much for your analysis, and thanks for being on the Home Defense Show today.
It's been a joy. Thank you, Skip.
All right, folks, that about wraps it up for this week's show. I've had a good time, and I hope you have too. Please don't forget to thank our sponsors, Center Shot Indoor Gun Range at centershotgunrange.com, shootingclasses.com to help you find the right trainer for your needs, Apple Tree Media for website security, and the United States Concealed Carry Association. For all your self-defense needs, go to uscca.com. All right, I've written 20-plus books, and they're all available on Amazon.com in paperback, ebook, and audiobook. This week, check out my book, RKBA, Defending the Right to Keep and Bear Arms. It's all about the fight to protect our Second Amendment rights. And also check out the Home Defense Show videos on rumble.com. And if you want training from me in person, then check out Midwest Tactical Training at shootingclasses.com. Please join us again next week for all your home defense needs. In the meantime, God bless and stay safe.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Home Defense Show. Now, get out there and protect the ones you love. We'll see you next week with more of the best.
Bye-bye, boys! Have fun storming the castle!